And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Conscientious Omnivore. My name is Pal. Today I have a couple of guests with me, Logan Blake and Elisha TV. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We're going to be talking about veganism and related topics. And just a quick couple words about myself, and then let everybody introduce themselves. My channel is kind of focused mainly on vegan issues, but I do a lot of gardening videos and kind of like ethical debates, I guess, as well as just discussions, and talk a lot about health aspects and nutrition. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And Elisha, if you want to go next.
Hello, everybody. I'm Elisha TV. I am very much so not a vegan, but I am not opposed to having a healthy and open discussion, debate, whatever you gentlemen would like to call this, with anybody about diets, health, fitness, which I have none of the above. I'm very interested in talking with both of you guys today. I made a video about, honestly, I think it was over a year ago. It was like last May or something. So it's kind of a bit of an older video of mine. It was kind of like a one-off, and then I kind of got roped into the vegan discussion. I did a response video to Vegan Gains in regards to a health condition I have known as gastroparesis, where I stated that being a vegan with the health condition that I have would be very unobtainable to do. It would pretty much put me in the hospital due to what I have. So we can go into what gastroparesis is. I guess pretty much you want to do that right off the bat. Let me just kind of just describe what it is that I have.
Yeah, we can do that, and maybe just Logan, a quick couple words about you, in case anybody doesn't know you.
What's up, y'all? I'm Logan, best YouTuber there is, coolest vegan there is, fastest man on the planet, and just all around great guy.
Perfect. Good summary. All right. So Elisha, back to you. If you want to just give a quick kind of summary of that condition. I'm sure a lot of people don't know about it. I had to look it up when I did watch your video because I didn't know much about it myself either. So.
And strangely enough, I had never even heard of it. But in 2011, I became very, very sick. It was almost like no matter what I ate for a while, it hurt me. I don't know how graphic you want me to be about this.
As graphic as you'd like, but yeah.
For a while, I was vomiting multiple times a day, daily. Lost a bunch of weight, got a bunch of different health tests done, and finally they decided, okay, well, we're going to send you to a gastroenterologist, or however the hell you say it. But I saw this guy, and he said, okay, well, we're going to do this gastric emptying test. And the gastric emptying test was essentially they put this type of material that they could read on a scan in some food, whether it be oatmeal or scrambled eggs, and you would eat this and you'd lie down on a table, and they'd have this machine that would come down. It was kind of almost like an ultrasound machine in a way, but it would watch your food digest. And they realized that it took my stomach rather 3 times longer than the average person to digest food. So they recommended certain things that I should avoid, raw vegetables, lots of bulk nuts. Strangely enough, I can eat peanut butter, but if I take a handful of peanuts and just eat those, I'll be laid up later with bad cramps, bad pain. Restroom issues, to be G-rated. So for a long time, it was me learning how to change my eating habits. For a long time, I had problems with just like eating a lot of food late at night and then going right to bed. So when I would go right to bed, I would, of course, be laying in a position where my food would not be able to fully digest. I'd wake up in the morning, I'd get sick. It was pretty much undigested food from the night before, and for the longest time, it was just trial and error to figure out what I can and can't eat. Things with roughage, things with lots of fiber are not very good for me. And the sad part is I loved a lot of the foods that I can no longer eat. And a lot of them, strangely enough, fruits and vegetables, nuts, things like that. So I've been told, and through research, that if I were to have a diet where I would have to eat large quantities of food at any point in time to be able to get the essential nutrients that I need, would physically make me sick based on the volume of the food itself. So I'll eat foods high in protein, high in calcium. I don't generally eat loads of meat. I mean, if I eat something, it's maybe 2 or 3 ounces of whatever it is that I'm eating. And I'll usually eat meat once a day, but I'm big on dairy, big on eggs. It helps give me the protein that I need in a small amount, and it kind of just keeps me going throughout the day. And I feel like since last year when I made this video, my condition has actually improved. I'll still have some bad days. I still can't eat a whole lot at any given point in time, but the nausea level and the getting sick has been much less over the last 9 months or so. So at least that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's great. I've done some research on it, you know, myself in preparing for this discussion, and yeah, what I've seen pretty much matches what you've said. Things with high dietary fiber definitely cause issues for people, so that's why I like the fruits and veggies, like you said. What I did read is some people say that cooking the vegetables definitely helps make it more digestible, and then it, for most people, it eases the symptoms. Also, what you said about the peanuts makes sense. Based on what I've seen from a lot of people, they said that that makes it a little bit more digestible. And then you can do some things related to like juicing and things like that, so you could still kind of enjoy the benefits of some of the fruits that you liked eating, either for taste or for nutrients. So you could juice those and just remove the dietary fiber, and that could potentially help. So I think those are some of the things that I've read about it. Interestingly enough, in preparing for this, I also read up on several people's blogs and watched some people's videos where they are vegan and living with this condition, and also kind of made recommendations and suggestions as to what people can do. And one of the main things that they cited was exactly what you said, that the caloric density matters. Like you can't eat a large portion because it just takes a long time to get out of your stomach. So what they recommended was actually to go to more refined foods. So instead of eating like you know, like whole wheat bread, for example, you'd go with white bread, or white pasta instead of whole wheat pasta. The same kind of thing. And like one thing that I've seen a lot of people say is that like tofu is really good because it's relatively calorically dense. It has very low fiber, and you know, tastes good, and can be, you know, done up in a number of different ways. I know in your video you also mentioned like what about people with allergies to, say, soy. There are other kind of similar things that you can do. So you can make Burmese tofu from chickpeas if somebody has like a soy allergy. You can also get different kinds of mock meats. Like I'm not sure if you're familiar with like seitan, but that's just made from like wheat gluten. It's not very processed in the sense of like there's nothing added to it. You just basically take like flour, you mix it with water, you make a dough, and then you wash out the starch, and you're just left with the gluten. So it's just pretty much pure protein, and it's actually more calorically dense than, say, like a lean cut of pork meat, and it has close to 3 times the protein. So I don't know how much of this you know, you've kind of seen or have looked at, but there are definitely like other options that you could maybe like at least consider or look into. I don't know, have you ever seen anybody like dealing with this condition with those other kind of options?
It's actually funny that you mentioned that right out of the gate there. One of my friends, who's going to go by Lord Poppy, I don't actually know her in person, but she found my vegan video, probably 3 or 4 months ago, and she messaged me, and we've been talking for a long time, and she gave me permission. I wrote down our conversation last night because I'm on my phone. I film everything on my phone, so I kind of I have some paper backups. But she has been living with gastroparesis for quite some time now, and she is a vegan. And would you guys mind if I kind of read some of this?
No, sure. I think it would be great for anybody else if they're experiencing the same problems.
I want to say she's around the same age as me. I'm 27. She could be a few years younger, but we kind of never really talked about age. But based on her pictures, that's approximately, you know, same age as me. I asked her first, when were you first diagnosed with gastroparesis, and how long have you been a vegan? She said, I have been a vegan for a year, vegetarian for 13, and she's had gastroparesis for 8. I asked her next, has being a vegan helped with your symptoms in any way? She said, not really. I do research before I do anything, and I'm 100% doing the vegan diet correctly. I know how to get all of my sources and everything I need, but a lot of it has been unable to work with my body, and I was hospitalized about 4 times in just 2 months. I've gotten so bad I have to see one of the top doctors in the country at Temple Hospital. I'm not even sure where she's from. Not sure where Temple Hospital is,
Mhm.
but I'm taking your word for it. She said there's a chance that it's getting worse because she's a vegan. Again, I'm not pointing these things out to put down the vegan diet, but more to show someone who has actually tried it. You know, I'm sure the people that you have seen who have these suggestions, do they have gastroparesis by chance?
Yes.
Any found?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can send you some links.
Yeah, yeah.
At least the ones I've seen. Yeah, there's one lady that I watched. She has a YouTube video on it specifically, and she has the condition. And then I've just seen some blogs by vegans as well. And then I've also seen some like just blog posts, or not blog posts, but more like forum posts, I guess is the right thing, by vegans who realized they had the condition after already being vegan, and then they were asking for suggestions from people with the condition because they didn't want to stop being vegan, but that they had also gotten the same kind of fears that you've already cited, that they would not be able to stay vegan with that condition. So I guess, yeah, I mean, if I could just respond to what you've said from this friend of yours,
Yeah,
it's certainly anecdotal. I mean, the ones I've mentioned are anecdotes as well as yours. So I'm not suggesting that that this condition could be cured or would be better on a vegan diet necessarily than a omnivorous diet. That wasn't my intention, so I just wanted to make that clear. I would just say that I think from what I've seen on it, and just the limited amount of information I have so far, I would think that it's possible to have a vegan diet and still do okay on this with this condition. So that's all I'm saying.
No, that's fine. Specifically, further on in this, she did kind of say a little bit about what her doctor thinks of all this. I asked her first off, after just her little explanation of everything, I said, "What were your personal reasons for being vegan?" And before I get to hers, I just kind of wanted to ask you guys, what would you say your personal reason is? Is it a moral reason, or is it a health reason, or is it kind of just a little combination of the two?
For me, it's actually a combination of 3 things. There is a moral aspect, so like an ethical stance that for me, just in a nutshell, because I don't want to make the story too long, my son, when he was around 2 years old, he stopped eating meat. And at that time, I was full on omnivorous, like just eating everything. And it really freaked me out. My wife and I got concerned that he would get like, deficiencies or whatever. And started researching like crazy and just trying to find out like, how can I make sure that he, doesn't get like nutritionally deficient. So I really started looking into all this kind of stuff. And then I just kind of very quickly kind of stumbled upon all the health information that's out there that suggested that not only can you be as healthy on a vegan diet, but that you can actually be healthier and avoid a lot of the most common kind of chronic diseases by adopting a whole food plant-based diet. So for me, it was kind of like the health aspect that got me into it. But then when I started realizing like, okay, so if we don't need it for our health, then we're just doing it for taste, which is like pleasure. And what I just kind of quickly came to realize that in my mind, if it is unnecessary that I wouldn't have to eat animals or animal products, I should say, then I found it to be unethical. Because for me to kill an animal if I feel like I'm in a survival situation, I don't think that's immoral. I don't think that's unethical. But if it's not a survival situation and I can just as well eat a potato and an apple, then to me it's like a moral decision. So it did become a moral thing too. And then the third thing is just the environment, is that when you start researching the environmental impact of animal agriculture, you just realize that it's a huge drain on the Earth's resources, and is really just unsustainable for the amount of people that we have if everybody's eating meat to the levels that people are. So for me, it's those 3 things all together.
I would have to say it's actually very sustainable, and I mean, for just all out honesty, the reason that we have become what we are as human beings currently is because we created fire and figured out that we can cook meat and have denser protein, spend less time doing other things, aka less time hunting and gathering for foods and everything. So in the scheme of things, you know, now we can walk to the grocery store and it's like, okay, we don't have to go out there and shoot the antelope and the buffalo and forage for berries and nuts. You know, it doesn't work like that anymore. But our brains had been developed by eating meat, and there's many cases.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're there's just many cases where, for example, if I'll go a few days, even if I am eating things like eggs and cheese, I will not feel as well as I do if I eat a little bit of chicken, for example. Why do you think that is?
It could be a number of reasons. I mean, it could be caloric, you know, like density. You may not be getting enough calories. You might feel like you're missing out on something. And then when you eat chicken, it's going to probably be higher in calories than you know, what some of the other things you might be eating. But I mean, I don't want to speculate on that. I don't know how well you track your calories or anything like that. If you use like Chronometer or something similar.
I don't track them.
So yeah, I mean, at this point, I would just be like guessing at that. But I just want to go back to something you said about the you know, the development of the brain. There's actually quite a bit of science out there from like anthropologists, as well as like you know, scientists studying you know, fossilized poop from like the, you know, the ancient days. And there's a lot of information that suggests that people's brains actually developed from the ability to cook starches and roots. So it's actually not quite as clear cut as people will have you believe. There's actually quite a bit of scientific you know, debate on that matter. And as far as the, you know, the literature I've seen, I would definitely lean towards saying that people's brains developed from cooking of fruits and veggies, but specifically like starches, like roots, tubers, things like that, potatoes. And
well,
yeah,
that as well. I mean, that in addition to meat, those things as well. I mean, the invention of fire is specifically what got us to be able to eat meat in the first place without just having to, you know, eat it raw. So, I mean, I think it's a number of things. It's not just, you know, it's a matter of the things that you are missing without meat. I mean, for one, I know for a fact that all vegans, if they want to do it the correct way, have to have B12 supplements at the very least. Mm-hmm. And I know that some people will have other problems with iron. You know, one thing that I believe I had in my response to Banana Warrior Princess was one question. She asked, what nutrients do you need from meats that you can't get from plants? For one, zinc. I'm not sure what type of supplements you take or anything on the regular, but zinc aids in muscle repair. Iron, commonly found in red meats, boosts your energy levels and combats fatigue. And creatine, which is a nitrogen-containing compound that improves protein synthesis and provides muscles with energy, encouraging muscle gain. Yeah, all those in addition to B12. So, I mean, sure,
yeah, I can address those for you if you want. So B12 is probably the one where hopefully it's the most clear for people if they have researched veganism. It's definitely recommended for everybody to take a B12 supplement, not just vegans. There's actually many statistics out there. You can see that a large portion of the US population, the UK population, it's very similar in most developed countries, are B12 either like borderline deficient or they are like actually deficient. And I'm talking like in older age groups, so like 50 to 60 and up. You know, I've seen stats ranging from like 25 to up to like 30, you know, 3 or more %. It depends on which study you're looking at. So it's a really significant portion of the population is B12 deficient. And it's not because of not eating enough animal products. The thing is that B12 is not produced by the animals themselves. B12 is produced by bacteria living in the soil. And the way that we theoretically would have gotten enough B12 in the old days was that you would just have, you know, picked stuff out of the ground. It would have been kind of on the things you were eating. So it's also found in groundwater. So if you had a well and you were just drinking well water, you would probably get enough B12, or like just drinking out of a pond or stream. Most of those things nowadays are discouraged, obviously, just from pathogens and what have you. You wouldn't want to be drinking untreated water because you might get sick from something else in there. But same thing for the animals themselves. They are actually getting supplemented. So if you look up what the vast majority, I can't remember the exact statistics, but I can look it up and put it in the description afterward. I think it's close to 90% of all B12 supplements are actually sold and used in the animal agriculture industry. So what's happening is by eating like a steak or something like a pig or whatever, you're actually supplementing, but through the animal, because the animals themselves aren't foraging like they used to. They aren't able to kind of root around in the soil and eat the grass, which might have some dirt on it, and then they would get enough B12. So B12 is just one of those things where I think everybody should take it regardless of their diet, and it's not a vegan problem per se. And it's really easy to get. You can just get fortified foods.
It is, though. I mean, all I've heard, even for example, from Vegan Gains, if you're a vegan, you better take your B12 or else you're not doing it right. So it is primarily an issue in the vegan community. Not saying it's not an issue elsewhere, but
why do you think that, like I said, like 30% of the population who are clearly not vegans, why are they deficient in B12?
Shoot, anybody could be deficient in anything if they're not obtaining enough of it in their diet. It's just there's no way for you to obtain it as a vegan. Not saying that somebody who eats meat occasionally or even on the regular can't not get enough of it. I'm deficient in vitamin D. I drink milk like it's going out of style.
Which is also a supplement. Like vitamin D is not found in milk naturally. They add it in there.
I honestly don't know the factual accuracy of that, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm not making it up, believe me.
Oh, I mean, I'm not saying you're not making it up. I've just never actually heard that. But
yeah, it's fortified. It's just like a lot of times nowadays, if you look at orange juice, they will add additional either calcium or vitamin D to that as well. If you look at most flour that's sold in the U.S., it's fortified with various B vitamins. So this idea that you shouldn't be a vegan because you would have to supplement B12, like I said, it's not really, like, it doesn't hold up as an argument, because you can still be B12 deficient even as an omnivore, and many people are. And like I said, even the ones that aren't, you could claim that the reason they aren't is because the animals themselves are being supplemented. So it's still a totally unnatural thing. And if you want it to be completely natural, you could just eat like dirty vegetables. Just don't wash them.
What about being organic? Wouldn't that be a much better way to get all of the chemicals out of your food, whether it be in the chemicals in the flour, in vegetables and fruits that they spray? Wouldn't it be more feasible to say, okay, organic meat, organic milk, organic eggs, grass-fed beef, organic vegetables, organic fruits, get the chemicals out of the food before you just say, it's not working, I got to switch my diet completely, get rid of all meat and proteins aside from beans and nuts.
Just so you know, too, the thing with the proteins, that's actually a very common misconception that people have, that all plants actually have all the essential amino acids. So they are all complete proteins. There is an idea that there's an incomplete protein, or that you have to mix and match things. That's actually a myth. All plants have all the protein amino acids.
Like I said, I said in my video, specifically the reason why I could not be vegan is the fact that I cannot eat the volumes of food that I would need to obtain these proteins. I would not be getting enough protein in conclusion of that.
If you are getting enough calories to maintain your weight, you are getting enough protein, like regardless of what you're eating. This is actually a very common misconception.
Okay, well, I could eat a few donuts, and am I going to be getting enough protein? I'm getting a hell of a lot of calories. Am I going to?
If you're getting enough calories to maintain your body weight, you would be getting enough protein. Nobody has ever actually died of protein deficiency. You would literally have to be starving to have a protein deficiency.
Okay, well, there are many, many times where no matter what I eat in a day, I don't feel well until I eat protein, like I had said previously. So you don't feel as cognitive if you don't have protein, at least in my personal opinion, with the condition that I have in my stomach.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want to, diagnose you. Like, I don't know you. I don't want to suppose what you're eating and what you're not eating, but it's possible that you have a B12 deficiency. It's possible that you're not getting enough calories on those days.
Well, they would have all that in my blood work. I get blood work done a couple times a year, so I would have found out had I been B12 deficient. I never have been.
Okay, I mean, like I said, you may just not be getting enough calories. That's a very common thing.
I don't know. I seem to eat a decent amount of calories on good days, but I mean, like I said about the donuts, just because you eat a bunch of something does not mean you're getting protein. The thing actually has to have protein in it. You know, like, for example, you guys, kidney beans. I'm sure you eat kidney beans. I'm sure you eat Great Northern beans. I'm sure you eat, oh, what are other things? Protein, nuts, peanuts, almonds,
But
you know.
what I'm saying is, if you ate nothing but rice, and like, I don't know, just some other thing like, uh, rice and corn or rice and I don't know, whatever, you don't have to make it beans. But I'm just saying, if you just ate rice, you would be getting enough protein.
I don't know how that would be the case.
You could eat
I mean,
just potatoes without the skins, and you would still be getting enough protein.
starch. You'd be getting your energy from starches. You wouldn't be getting your energy from protein. Starches don't last, nearly as long as protein does. I could sit there and eat a baked potato and feel full and feel energized for a while, but then later on, I'm going to feel very sleepy. It's like if you sit there and eat a bunch of pasta. No matter what you have on the pasta, whether it be pesto sauce or meat sauce and meatballs, you're going to feel really tired afterwards because you just ate a bunch of starch.
Could I talk about this for 1 second here?
Yeah, sure.
When you get a chance.
Thank you
Okay,
for
so what? Sorry. Yeah, for whatever you've been eating, right? That's what your body is used to eating. So if you are eating a carnivore diet for the past year, nothing but meat, your gut flora is going to be adapted to eating nothing but meat, right? That doesn't mean that you're not going to get diabetes or heart disease or something like that. That's just what your brain and your body is going to feel like eating because it's routine, right? So of course you're going to feel better when you eat the food that you're accustomed to eating. It takes a whole year for your gut flora to readapt to a new diet and your taste buds to readapt and for you to feel like your new diet is working. And then at that point, you could look back a year ago and say, well, how did I feel a year ago compared to now? And unless you do that, it's really hard to just say, well, I eat a piece of meat and then I feel better.
But it's true, though. It's not because, it's not true because some guy said it. It's true because I've experienced it. I legitimately do feel better when I eat a piece of meat versus, like I said in my video, 8 cups of broccoli to 1 egg. You honestly think I'm going to go through the pain of making myself sick just to not eat a chicken egg?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend you would be eating like broccoli with your condition. Everything I've seen about it, like I would go with things like either potatoes without the skin, rice, pasta, tofu, seitan, something like that, like things that are either much more refined or just have lower fiber by default.
Can I point out the fact I don't want anything that sounds like Satan going inside my body? Just a little side note.
Okay.
Well, you can call it wheat meat. That's another name for it.
No, I know. I'm just.
Can I interject too here? I just got to go soon, so I just wanted to get a few points in before the debate is done here. I got to get my kid in about half an hour, so I just if I could just jump in here for a little bit.
We could always talk any other time. This is just touch and base. This is just our the potential many live streams together. So. Yeah.
So I just had a question for you though. So. When you are eating these foods, like you just named, just basically the animal products make you feel better, right? Like you said, milk, eggs, meat, whatever it is, right? How do you know that it's the property of protein, that exact macronutrient, that is making you feel better? Because there's properties in meat that are very addictive, like the L-carnitine, compared to the protein. So how do you know that exact thing is making you feel better when the meat contains so many properties?
Well, if the meat contains so many properties, it means it contains many different benefits. I mean, well,
no, I'm just saying what makes you feel like, like how do you know it's not the calories? How do you know it's not, the hormones, the whatever it is? How do you know those aren't making you feel?
I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist, and I don't claim to be one. My original video was specifically discussing the fact that I have gastroparesis, can't eat a certain large amounts of food of anything, so it could very well be the calories. Okay, I eat, 3 ounces of this, I feel a hell of a lot better, I digested no problem, and I have energy for the rest of the day. Doesn't mean that I don't get energy or nutrients from plants or fruits or anything like that. I do eat lots of vegetables. I like fruits, I like fruit smoothies. There's endless ways for me to obtain calories. It's just the fact that no matter what it is that I'm eating, I cannot eat tons of. So I have to have a variety in my diet, you know. Doesn't mean I don't eat anything but animal products, you know.
Okay.
That's
so your diet aside, like if we weren't talking about your diet, you would recommend then that people eat a vegan diet?
No, absolutely not. No way.
How come? What are the reasons?
But for many reasons. I mean, if we're going to specifically go into detail about my video, you know, that's why you wanted to talk to me, correct? It was about my...
well, yeah, both things. I'm just putting the gastroparesis thing aside for a sec and just talking about just the general public, because most people don't have gastroparesis. So they're probably thinking, well, you know, what about me?
Right. And
Where do I fit in?
I wasn't making a video for them. I mean, no offense to anybody. I kind of just made that video in response to, you know, Vegan Games claims that everybody could be vegan no matter what in a perfect utopia society. So really quickly, my friend, who I had asked what her personal reasons were, she said she doesn't eat meat for ethical reasons. So mostly I would have to say that vegans in general, as a whole, on average, mostly are vegan for ethical reasons. And it's kind of like, in my opinion, like, for example, we don't have to get into this. This is your personal beliefs, and you don't have to tell me this. But both of you, are you okay with abortion?
Okay, so if we're going to talk about like ethics for a second, yeah, I'm going to answer that. Yeah, I'll answer that. Just let me, because you didn't ask me like what were my reasons for being vegan. So I think ethics. Well, I didn't get to answer, so that's just what I'm saying. But so the reason why I would be vegan, first of all, is based off health. And then what is health based off of? Health is based off of the type of animal you are, right? So if I was actually a cat, I would have no problem eating meat because that's what a cat is supposed to eat. So ethics has no part in that, right? But then on top of that, the second thing would be the environment, because it doesn't matter what type of animal you are for health. If you destroy the planet and kill yourself, then your health is out the window. And then the third reason would be ethics, and ethics just actually falls into place with those first two reasons. Once you realize that the first two reasons are in place, ethics is just a no-brainer.
Well, large majority of vegans, such as my friend who I was speaking with, I mean, she even said, I said, well, you know, is there a possibility that it's messing with your gastroparesis in general? She said it has chances of messing with some, but not all. She has POS in addition to, which I'm not sure if either of you know what that is, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which I also have. So dairies affect her, but she has such severe gastroparesis that she's been talking with her doctor potentially about, you know, feeding tubes and things like that. Luckily for me, I'm not as bad as her. So, I mean, in all honesty, my gastroparesis is nothing compared to some people's, and I still have problems. So there are some people who only eat based on a feeding tube. I mean, they have almost like it's like a protein-based, I don't even know how to describe it other than it's like a tasteless, flavorless stuff that they put in your feeding tube just so you can have the nutrients, you know. Some people with gastroparesis can't even eat, you know. So what I can't speak for half of these people, you know. I almost feel guilty sometimes even mentioning it when I have a stomachache, because I think of this person I talked to who it's just like, oh my God, she can't do shit almost, you know. Sorry for being vulgar, but I feel bad for her. I mean, I've legitimately cried thinking about the fact that this poor girl is in the hospital and she's trying to be vegan so bad because of ethical reasons that she's honest to God harming herself. I mean, you know, health aspects aside, morals aside, it's not good for people with certain conditions, you know. But everybody else, sure. I'm sure it's healthy as hell. I'm sure it's a fantastic way to lose weight, you know. Okay,
so here's the thing, like the way you're saying, you know, like she tried veganism. It's almost like it's almost like it's a shake or something, right? Like you're going to the store and you're buying this shake that's called veganism, and you're drinking it. It's, I tried it and then it didn't work, and then you put it back on the shelf and then you go to the meat, right? So it's obviously nutrition's like way more complex than that, right? So if you were to get cancer, right? If I was to get cancer, I should stop eating fruit because the sugar will directly feed the tumor to make it grow, right? So the best thing to do would to be go on some ketogenic diet. Now, does that mean a ketogenic diet is healthy for a regular person? No, it's healthy for a person with cancer. And then you could look even more into that and say, well, you could do a ketogenic diet involving plant foods, and then you have to figure out the type of plant foods that you would need to do the ketogenic diet that wouldn't be fruit, right? Because and other things that would affect the tumor. Now, does that mean fruit is unhealthy for a regular person? No, it doesn't. Fruit is great for a regular person and will prevent cancer. So there's a huge difference when you talk about food like that. It's not so like black and white, like there's veganism and there's meat, right?
Well,
so that's yeah.
That's absolutely not what I think. I think that in all honesty, vegans think that anybody can be vegan if you just do it right. And my point, my argument is that no, that's not true. You know, whether you want to believe it or not everybody could follow a vegan diet and be healthy. Just like you said, not everybody could follow a keto diet and be healthy. You know, different strokes for different folks, as they say. So my ultimate argument is not against veganism or being vegan in general or saying that it's wrong or unhealthy. My argument was solely for my condition. I was only speaking of my condition. I think it was misconstrued by lots of vegans. Not saying you, but, you know, Banana Warrior Prince. I think she misconstrued the hell out of what I was saying.
So you're putting diets though like into the same category, like as in you can just arbitrarily pick one and it's gonna work for some people, it's not gonna work for others, and like they're all kind of just pick and choose, right? Like a ketogenic diet should never be eaten by a human normally. It's not a healthy diet, so it's not like, oh, you can pick keto, you can pick veganism. Sorry, go on.
What'd you say was not eaten? I missed the first part. It kind of got a little broken up. I couldn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Well, you were saying like about diets, like, oh, not all people can go on a keto diet. Well, not all people should go on a keto diet. Nobody should unless they have cancer. That was my point, right? It's not like you just pick and choose diets based on names and maybe they're the newest fad, right? You're picking a vegan diet because whole plant foods is what's the healthiest for a human body. You're not picking it based on the name or, you know, like people are doing a ketogenic diet. Like I'm not just arguing for the diet. I'm arguing for the actual benefits of the food within the diet.
Correct. And so am I. And what I'm saying is the benefits of the food within the diet for me are primarily things that are higher in fat, you know, not necessarily just meat, not necessarily just milk and cheese or eggs. I'm saying in general, my diet specifically works for my condition. You don't have races.
Yeah, no, I know.
Pal,
yeah, no, I don't have. Yeah. So, but like back to my point though, what is the properties of the meat that you need for your diet that you can't acquire for food? What is the difference?
Creatine. Like I said, creatine. That's the one thing found in meat that is not found in any plant-based foods.
Okay, so your body produces creatine. You don't need any. Yeah, it has actually. This is what happens when you have creatine. So your body produces all the creatine that you need. And bodybuilders, like I used to go to the gym and lift weights all the time for powerlifting, right? So I used to actually go buy the micronized creatine, and you take 5 grams a day. And what happens is your creatine will initially shoot up. Like it'll initially go higher than what it is. But what happens then is your body realizes that you're getting outside creatine, so it stops producing its own creatine, and then it normalizes back to where it was in the first place. So adding creatine into your body has no added benefits.
Okay. I cannot counter that as I don't know enough about it, and I'll be honest. But due to my research and due to my personal just things I do in general, I have found that my diet works for me. I mean, I'm not going to go out here and try to tell you guys you need to stop being vegan because I ethically don't agree with you, you know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, I didn't say anything about ethics though.
Well, listen.
Like, I'm not talking about ethics.
Hold on. Hypothetical. Do what I do. It's better. How do you know that what I'm doing is not as good as what you're doing?
Okay, so my point is, no. I'm not asking anecdotal evidence right now. I'm not asking what works for you. I'm asking if you were to look on like a cellular level, like in your body, what micronutrient or macronutrient are you lacking or in need of more that is in meat that you can't get from plants?
Okay. Again, back to round one. I have something that I cannot eat large quantities of said plants to get those. So I'm not going to say that there is some specific thing that I cannot obtain from plants. I physically cannot obtain it from plants because of that reason of eating large portions.
But Elisha, I said in the beginning that like you can take vegan yogurt. It's the same amount of calories as like traditional dairy yogurt. It's like you can get vegan cheese. It's pretty much the same amount of calories. You can get seitan. It has more calories than a slice of pork. It's like almost double the calories. So the volume thing doesn't hold up.
I don't know how do they possibly have the same amount of calories?
Because they're more refined. Because they're more refined.
You have to eat 8 times the amount of yogurt to obtain the same calories. It's like
Look, I can share my screen if you want. I actually did prep a few things. I've just got it on my screen. If you want, I can share it, or you can just take my word for it. But I got yogurt, plain skim milk, 100 grams. There are 56 calories in that. And if you look at a plant-based yogurt, 100 grams, you have 50. So it's like 50 versus 56. It's a tiny bit less calories, but it's very close. And
like I said before, you could eat calories all day. Empty calories. This doesn't mean you're being healthy just because you're getting calories.
They're not empty calories. I mean, you are still getting what are you getting in the yogurt besides like empty calories? Like why do you think that that's more beneficial to you than the plant-based yogurt?
Yogurt's not empty calories. Go to the grocery store and pick up a thing of yogurt, and you just read the nutrition facts on the back. That's not empty calories.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so what is it that is in there that is not in the plant-based yogurt? This is Logan's question ultimately.
Milk, dairy products, proteins, calcium, vitamin D.
All of those things are found in the plant-based yogurt.
Yeah,
just like in the dairy yogurt.
Like I said, those things are not the exact same properties of milk. Like, I think it's an oxymoron to call vegan cheese because that ain't cheise.
Okay, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it whatever you want, but it has the same nutrients.
I really don't think that's the case. How does it have the same nutrients if that stuff is just so much better for you and so much healthier? If it's about the health and the nutrients of what you're getting, why can't I eat meat? Why can't I have dairy? It comes
because it comes in a package that includes a bunch of unhealthy things for you, like saturated fat and cholesterol.
But it does come back down to the ethics. I know vegans, I know you guys, it's about the ethics. Ultimately, deep down inside, you're smiling because I'm telling the truth. Vegans are about the ethics, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing to love animals. I love my cat, I love chickens. Chickens are my second favorite animal. But they're
I just said ethics don't apply though, and he wasn't even talking about ethics again, and you're just saying the argument is ethics.
Ethics in general.
Nobody even said anything.
When I asked my vegan friend, she said ethics. He earlier said it was ethics, and ethics was one of them.
So you can just figure out by asking one person. Like I just go, hey, Jeffrey Dahmer, tell me about life, and he goes, well, you should eat people. I asked my friend what to do. He said eat people. You can't just ask a friend. This isn't Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You're calling a friend and getting your answers.
Guys, talking with vegans about cannibalism, definitely a good way to start my Monday.
All right, so let me ask a question, Elisha.
Looking aside, one more quick thing.
Yeah,
I did not get my answer. Before I leave, I want my answer. Ethics and morals aside, since it was mentioned indeed that it is part of why you are a vegan, why is it that a large portion of vegans, maybe not even you two, I don't know your beliefs, agree that abortion is a choice and it should be done at whenever?
Okay, I could answer that. Let me answer that. So first of all, do males even need to concern themselves with that because it's really down to the female, unless it's coming to, hold on, let me answer the question. Unless it's coming down to actually forming the laws, like it doesn't really matter what I think until I'm forced to vote, because really I've never had to have an abortion or never will have to have an abortion. But secondly, it's not a black and white type of thing. So there is a line where a small amount of cells is going to become sentient. Where is that line? That's really hard to tell. I'm not a doctor. You know, if it's 3 cells, it's not sentient yet. But, you know, 8 months in, of course, it is going to be sentient. So where is the line in between? I'm not sure.
I just think I don't think there is no line. I think it's just wrong. I mean, if you like I said, morally speaking, if you guys are saying, you know, animals are sentient, which I agree with you, not gonna debunk that because that's truthful. You know, I know my cat's sentient. I've met farm animals and I'm like, you know what, that's a cool goat. But ultimately, these are, in my opinion, different than, say, just it's not, like you said, it's not black and white. Like, okay, well, animals are sentient. We're killing them and using them for food, and that's bad. You know.
Yeah. Let me explain with what you're saying. So, killing an amoeba, right, isn't the same as killing a cow, right? Because an amoeba is a one-celled organism. Who gives a shit about that? But then you got a sentient cow. I'm saying in between a baby cow and an amoeba, there's obviously a line where the thing turns sentient. So you're saying vegans shouldn't kill amoebas? Is that your argument?
That even the little cow fetuses, those are going to be sentient someday. Just because at this exact moment it's not fully walking around, and it doesn't mean anything. Like, for example, babies. You said, why do men have to worry about babies being murdered?
Okay,
well,
so no, what? Okay.
How about the fact that just because men don't have abortions, they should still worry men are being killed by abortions?
Well, my answer wasn't, let's not worry. My answer was, if I have the opportunity to vote, then I would. But realistically, I'm not going to have to worry about that. That's all I'm saying. But well, I mean, obviously, any amoeba has potential to grow into something greater, but you're not going to give it the same amount of moral consideration as a full-grown sentient being, because it ain't nothing yet, and it doesn't feel any pain or suffering if you kill it.
I want to make mention of something. You said it has the potential to become sentient. Okay, so
exactly.
If a baby has the potential to become sentient, whether you can vote for it or agree with it or not, why is it okay to take away that thing's opportunity to be sentient? If you agree that we're taking animals' opportunities away by eating them and using them for food.
Okay, so your position is that you shouldn't kill any one-celled organisms. I'm getting your position clear because I'm not sure you understand your position.
Well,
so I shouldn't go like you shouldn't kill bacteria.
There's no such thing as a one-celled organism when it comes to a human life or an animal life. The sperm and the egg from no matter what species are obviously more than one different cell. So you are false in what you were saying. That's wrong.
Of course, it always starts as one cell.
Okay, a sperm is one
cell.
Well,
it starts as one cell or a couple of cells. It starts as a very small amount. Like, it's not sentient, be more sentient day 0 of it. So you're saying don't ever, yeah, I mean, you're like, I would take moral consideration of a bug over 2 cells.
Damn. I hate bugs.
What do you mean, damn? Like, well, what's the argument?
I guess that makes you a better person than me, because I hate spiders and I'll kill them whenever I see them.
Okay, so
if I could, I would like to jump in here for a second. I think, Elisha, like, one thing that I think Logan has kind of explained pretty well why some vegans are kind of pro-abortion up to a certain time period, certain number of weeks or whatever. So I don't really feel like I need to address that. I think people can have different opinions on this, and I don't think it really matters to veganism. I think most vegans would definitely be up to would be against late-term abortions. So things that where the baby could obviously survive on its own outside of the womb. I'm pretty sure most vegans would have to say that they would be against that.
Well, then
I mean, I haven't seen information to suggest otherwise. But my point is this: I don't think that is really kind of any argument against veganism. And if anything, like, are you saying that just if you're vegan, you should be pro-life and be against abortion at all stages? Is that what you're getting at?
Well, why are vegans against eating eggs? It's just an egg. It's just a clump of cells. What's the problem?
Yep, I can
tell you why. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, let me just say quickly. So you would be against eating eggs because how you get the egg is you throw a baby male chicken into a blender.
No.
You don't throw. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so when children are born, right, they either come out male or female. So if a baby chick is a male, it gets thrown into a blender. If it's a female, it doesn't. So 50-50, you're killing males. I mean, you're killing a chicken every time to get an egg or to get a couple eggs or whatever. And you're supporting it by eggs.
That's the point of the hypocrisy that I'm trying to point out, is a large percentage of vegans are okay with abortion, but they ain't okay with you eating a chicken egg because it's a
No, that's a false comparison.
It's not because of the egg. It's because of the living being that produced the egg. So
yeah,
there's also further cruelty to the chicken, to the hen laying egg itself. So the female that doesn't get ground up alive is going to get its beak cut off, and it's going to be stuffed into a cage. And even like free range or cage free, those birds just aren't stuffed into a cage. They're stuffed into a warehouse with just as little space, and they still have their beaks cut off. So
have you guys been on a farm before?
Yes, and I have people like down the street that keep their own chickens, and those are not the people that you're buying your eggs from. I can almost guarantee you, because if you look at the statistics of where people are getting their animal products from, like 90+% are getting them from factory farmed conditions.
So if it was not a factory farm, say instead of saying illogically that everyone should just become a vegan because it's nicer and better for the environment and better for animals, why don't we just eat organic? Why don't we just focus on the fact that the meat industry is a bad place? I can honestly admit it.
The organically fed chickens can still be confined in horrible conditions. They're just getting organic feed instead of pesticide-laden feed, but they're still living in just as bad conditions for the most part. So the organic label is just really addressing the chemicals, but it's not addressing the cruelty. The other thing is that with eggs in particular, there are different types of chickens. So I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but there's like broiler hens, and then there's the egg-laying hens. So that's kind of like why they get ground up, and that's just for any of the viewers if they're not aware of that. But ultimately, like, is it sustainable? Like, if everybody just kept their own chickens, you would not be eating as many eggs as most people do on average if you're an omnivore. I mean, when I was eating eggs, I was eating 3-4 eggs a day. That means I would need to keep at least 3 or 4 chickens just for myself. I have a family of 4. That means I would have had to keep probably about, I would say 10 chickens at least, just to be able to sustain my personal egg habit. And that's not even actually addressing everything, because I was using in pastries and other things too. So it's probably even more than that. Now, family of 4 is going to keep 10, 15 chickens. I mean, like, you know very well that most people aren't going to do that. The only way to provide enough, like, eggs and chickens and meat and everything for the people eating the amount of dairy and animal products that they are, is by doing the factory farming conditions. That's why they're there. Yeah, it's money and everything else too, but it's simply impossible to do it otherwise.
Well, could we find some common ground somewhere?
My argument is simply that if you don't need it, it's bad for your health. I think we should talk about some of the other things that we didn't talk about yet, which is like cholesterol and saturated fat.
Can I just add one point to that here first? So when you have a backyard chicken, right? Okay. You have to get it from somewhere initially. So wherever you're getting it from initially is a hatchery that throws chicks into blenders.
And that's wrong. I'm not arguing that that's right. So can we find some common ground somewhere before we go on our merry ways here in a little bit, and say at least the fact that the animal industry has some problems?
Well,
Yeah.
why would you throw? Why would you pay for somebody to throw a chicken to a blender? Say, let's put it in your argument. So your argument was that a bundle of cells is the, hold on. Your argument was a bundle of cells is the same as an egg. So that's like saying, let's wait till a full grown, male baby is born, throw them in a blender so we could have a bundle of cells. And you're saying that's common ground.
I'm not paying for them to throw the chicks in the blender. I already said that that's wrong. I'm paying for the chicken that they slaughtered that was already alive, fully grown and ready for me to eat. So
well, where did that come from?
Life and continue to breathe on this earth.
Where did that come from? That chicken?
You said that chicken. Why would they throw it in a blender? Like I said, the animal industry.
But where would that chicken come from? A hatchery that throws male chicks into blenders. So you're paying for that.
I'm paying for the meat that I am purchasing. I'm not paying for the act of them murdering baby chicks. That's their problem. That's the part that they need to fix that I agree with.
No, but you're actually paying for the male chick to be murdered and the fully grown female to be murdered.
No, I'm paying for the boneless, skinless chicken breast that I'm going to turn into chicken dinner.
But you're willfully turning your head away to not see the process that leads up to it, because that process is inherent there, and you're paying for a product that is a direct product of that happening.
Okay, so what the hell would we do with all of these animals that are saved from these slaughterhouses? Who would take care of all of these animals if we just rescued them up in one day? No more killing of animals. We're taking them all. We're putting them in sanctuary farms. Who would take care of this? Who would do this? What would happen to these animals? What would happen when they overbreed and can't eat enough food because they're overpopulated?
Yep. So this is actually a common kind of argument against veganism, and if you actually look into it and do a little bit of research, you'll see that it's actually quite preposterous for a number of reasons. One is that it's pretty much completely impossible. The world will not go vegan overnight.
Exactly.
So that's one thing. But even if it did, for whatever reason, like let's say magically you could convince the close to 8 billion people to go vegan, there's actually information that you can look up. I think Mike the Vegan did a really great video on this very recently. I'll link that if you want to check it out. But he shows the natural death rate of animals in the two different kind of scenarios. One scenario is that just simply stop breeding new animals, because these animals aren't as numerous as they are because of their own natural ability to breed that much. They number this much because we artificially inseminate them and breed them artificially. So if we just simply stopped breeding them, and if you look at the death rate of like just either killing them at the same rate that they are now, basically at the end of like 2 years, or even for most of the animals, you would get like rid of like 80% of the animals or something like that, like after the first 2 years. If you chose to not kill any of them and just really the whole world did go vegan, you're basically looking at like 10 to 12 years for the population to go down to like 5% of whatever it was, and then you could easily like sanctuary those animals. So it would be like can we get enough money and resources out of like 8 billion people going vegan overnight to house and support animals for like 10 years? I think the answer is yes. If you're really talking about convincing everybody ethically that they need to go vegan, and you're talking about like, look at the wealth that is in the world, I'm sure you could find the resources to house those animals for like 10 years.
Well, even so, for housing it for 10 years, they're still going to reproduce on their own unless we intervene.
Nowhere near at the numbers that we have, so it wouldn't be a problem.
Well, why? Well, that's what I'm saying. What purpose do cows, pigs, and chickens have on this earth other than food?
What purpose do you have on this earth, or me? What purpose do you or I or Logan have on this earth?
You didn't answer my question.
I think their purpose is to live, just like yours.
Okay, so their purpose is to live, but all other animals that are part of our environment and just the ecosystem in general, they all have their own part that they play. It just so happens that cows, pigs, and chickens don't play any part other than for food. That is the sole purpose that they are on this.
We've made them into that. So
what purpose did they serve beforehand is what I'm asking.
They didn't exist before we bred them. They didn't exist before we selectively bred them to have the traits that they have now. So like chickens, they originally were like wild birds. Like I think they originated in like Asia somewhere. And then they were domesticated and bred to be the animals that they are now. And even looking back, like just a few short decades, like 40, 50 years ago, there are still people who still maintain like these rare breeds of animals. You can still compare those to the ones they have now. They grow at like half the rate. So the ones we have now that can't live in the wild and can't support themselves like in nature, those are our problem that we've made. So if we simply just stop breeding them, they will most likely, you know, cease to exist, and potentially we could keep enough of them around like in sanctuaries just to like allow them to breed naturally in small numbers.
To have them in a zoo for our pleasure. Well,
or as pets, really, I guess. But
we're gonna Holocaust all of you, but like 12 of these cows and chickens and pigs, because they're cool. So you guys believe that they are sentient and they deserve life, but you're literally willing to wipe them off of the earth except for a small number because you think it's more humane.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I think you're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that they should all be killed. And all I'm saying is that just naturally, even if you did like let them all go, yeah, most of them would be killed off by predators or by, you know, just not being able to support themselves and what have you. But it's still different than you intentionally paying somebody to go and kill them for you.
So a predator, whether it be a fox or a coyote, goes and eats a chicken. That chicken suffered less than a chicken who got slaughtered for food. That's what you're saying.
Again, you know, I'm not saying that. No, see, you're putting words in my mouth. What I'm ultimately saying is that this situation that we're arguing about is a hypothetical that has a probability of like lower than you winning the lotto tonight. Like it's kind of like an exercise in futility a little bit, and just an intellectual exercise. But so that's what I'm ultimately saying. But I'm willing to entertain the discussion, so that's fine. I'm not suggesting that they should be killed, and I'm not suggesting that they should be like let go into the wild. What I'm suggesting is that we should simply stop breeding them like immediately. That's like number one. And I'm not even suggesting that they should be like barred from breeding or sterilized or whatever. I'm just saying that like in like a sanctuary situation, you might still have, you know, some amount of breeding that will happen, but that rate is going to be so low that that will be a sustainable amount that you could, you know, maintain. And people could, you know, kind of do it as an obligation to wrong the rights of the past, if you will. You know, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. I'm not suggesting that they should be killed.
Well, not saying that they should be killed, or not saying that that's what you said. Maybe I misspoke, but you're denying them the right to exist at all by saying that you're going to slow the breeding down. So by allowing them the opportunity to exist, what good is a sentient being if they're not even going to be alive to experience anything? Not saying they are killed, but they are barred from breeding.
Well, I didn't say they would be barred from breeding. That's one. And number two, like even if we take the more extreme situation that they would be barred from breeding. I mean, if you put this into a human context, it'll clear it right up for you. Like if you were,
I don't compare apples to oranges. Animals and humans are two totally
no, that's fine. That's fine. But
humans are animals. Humans are animals.
But you asked the question.
Humans aren't animals.
But you asked the question: is it better for the chicken to be killed by a fox? I'm just going to ask you the question: like, would it be better for you to be in a tiny cage that you can't turn around, and then have somebody come and slit your throat where you have zero chance, like none whatsoever, or would you rather be like released into the wild and then some guy's tracking you and he's going to try to kill you? At least you have a chance to run. At least you have a chance to maybe potentially fight back, maybe, you know, get away, maybe escape. I think you would probably take that scenario. I would. I mean, I don't know.
Briefly, to kind of like wrap things up and step away from veganism, just kind of make a comparison. It's like the people who think that, oh, well, cats, they should be allowed to just kind of roam wherever they want and free. Why would you keep a cat essentially hostage in your house and not let them ever go outside? And then there's people like me who say, okay, well, if I just let the cat be free and live a happy, free life outside, she has all of these other outside dangers that she could run into, and inside she's healthy and happy and fed and she doesn't have to worry about it. You know, domesticating animals is a beautiful thing. And with how many years these animals have been domesticated, if you just put these animals essentially out in the wild, you know, not even just on sanctuary farms, if you some chickens into the wild, some pigs into the wild, these animals will not survive without human help. So these animals cannot be released into the wild. So we would essentially have to have all of these farm animals rescued until they die off of natural causes, keep them from breeding so they don't overpopulate. And then what kind of life is that?
It's still a better life than what they have now.
Could I get in here for 5 minutes? Because I gotta go in like 5 minutes. So obviously, if you're talking about apples and oranges, comparing a house cat to animal agriculture is an insane difference.
No,
like obviously you're not torturing your cat and then murdering it. So it's
some people have said to me personally, well, it's wrong for you to keep your cat as an indoor cat. I was using that specifically as an example of what people think is wrong versus what's right. What's better for
well, I'll tell you that it's wrong to keep a pet, period, but that's a whole different debate. But what you're saying about animal agriculture, though, so I mean, vegans don't like animal agriculture, right? It'd be better if it never existed in the first place. The problem is it exists. So it's nothing about like what is the best possible hypothetical. The best possible hypothetical is it never existed in the first place. But what do we do now that it's existing? Right now, all these animals are on a death sentence, and there's two options. Like, you either breed more animals and you put those animals on a death sentence as well, and you keep doing that forever, or you just have this last group of animals on their death sentence and you don't breed anymore. Which one do you think is better?
I mean, keeping them, you'd still have to keep them on a farm, like I said. You'd still have to control their breeding. They'd still be
well, let's just say it this way. You killed all of them. Which one would be better? If I just killed all of them right now, which one would be better?
Killed all of the animals right now?
Yeah, so I just killed all of them right now. Like, they're going to be killed, right? They're on a death sentence. They're in animal agriculture. That's what animal agriculture is. So right now, I just go kill all of them. I don't breed anymore. Which one is better?
If they're going to die, they're going to die. I mean, it's a matter of saying, oh, well, do you want to have a heart attack or do you want to get in a car?
No. You're missing the question. So the question is, should I breed more to kill these ones, or should I just kill these ones?
Like I said, it comes back down to morals are subjective, and it's like...
No.
Yes? Oh, yeah, morals...
What do you mean morals are subjective? Killing animals now is a subjective thing.
Hold on. Morals are subjective. Completely vegan conversation aside. Young teenage boy goes to his Catholic parents and says, hey, Mom and Dad, I'm gay. The parents are not going to agree with him. He's not going to agree with them. Morals are subjective. That
has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, yes, it does, girl.
Okay, I gave you two scenarios. I gave you can kill these certain amount of animals and then it's done. Or you can kill these certain amount of animals and continue breeding them forever and keep killing more and more and more and more. I said, which one's better? And now you're talking about gay people.
That's what I was saying. Morals are subjective. I said veganism aside. When it comes
okay,
to
so I could just eat humans because morals are subjective. That's what you're saying.
No, there's a thing.
Well, why not?
Order and morals.
Okay, what?
That's why Sharia law in Middle Eastern countries is so dangerous, because their morals are different than ours. Okay, well, we're talking about
regarding gay people, which is what you just brought up, because it's subjective.
Yeah, everything's subjective. Just because
but Elisha,
okay,
I think your example is actually the exact opposite of what you stated. So the fact that you're worried about Sharia law being because their morals are different than yours, that's the exact. You're basically saying that it's immoral. So for them to stone a woman because she cheated on her husband, you're saying that's wrong.
What I'm saying is morals are subjective. I may believe one thing and you may believe something totally different.
But would you accept that?
Would I accept what? Let's say that one more time.
The lady getting stoned to death under Sharia law because she cheated on her husband.
No, why would I support something that foul?
Because morals are subjective.
Because morals are subjective. You just said it. Yeah.
You're using that as your argument. Okay, so your argument is saying people can do whatever they want to do because morals are subjective. I gave you a scenario. You said I can continue holocausting animals for all of eternity because morals are subjective. And then I have a scenario like eating humans, and you say no, that's wrong. And then you go back to morals are subjective. So why is one wrong and not the other, but yet morals are subjective?
Listen, bro, there's a difference between something being illegal and you thinking it's morally wrong.
So it's based on law. So it's based on law.
Hold on. Let the woman speak. There are differences between slaughtering animals and slaughtering people. It is illegal to slaughter a human. It is not illegal to slaughter animals. Your morals are different. It is not illegal to be gay, and it's not illegal to say that you don't agree with gay people. Morals are subjective.
Exactly. So why morals are subjective was law. You just said law. So based off law, if it was legal for me to throw a gay person off a roof, that would be fine with you.
No, because here in America, it's not legal. So in my world...
Okay. So only American law now. So if it was legal... I'll give you a hypothetical. If it was legal to eat a human in America, that would be fine because it's legal in America.
I would like to see a day in hypothetical where that would be legal. But yes, if that could possibly be legal...
Why would you like to see that?
Sure. What?
Why would you like to see that?
No, I just think that'd be hilarious. Like, it's like the farthest end of the hypothetical end of the spectrum. That's just like the way that vegans just go in general. And it's entertaining to me because morals and law are two different things. So yes, the American law is only going to be implemented for me. I am only following my law.
But see, this is where I think you're misunderstanding. Laws are subjective. Morals are not. Both Logan and I would say that morals are not subjective. That's what we're trying to prove to you. In the United States, it used to be legal to own somebody because their skin was dark. It used to be legal for you to beat them because they didn't pick enough cotton for you. It used to be legal for you to probably kill them because they ran off from your farm too many times. You wouldn't say that that's moral, even though it was legal.
The old school Republicans fought a war over that because we decided, no, this is wrong. We're fixing this.
Yeah, that's great, but that's proving the point. That's proving the point that the law was subjective, but it was never moral. And even then, when it was legal, there were many people, the abolitionists, who basically said that that's wrong, and they said it's wrong. It's morally wrong.
Are morals subjective?
No, morals are not subjective. Morals are not subjective. There's the golden rule that addresses everything.
So morals, everybody else cannot have their own different set of morals.
Let me ask you one thing before I go. So why is it wrong to eat a human? Just answer me what is the exact reason why it would be wrong for me right now, not even to eat a human, to just kill a human?
Okay, why is it wrong to kill a human? Well, for one, human beings have the ability to set goals for themselves, have dreams and aspirations, have a family where they can speak.
If you're gonna do like a lot of points, let me answer them one by one though.
Let me answer my question.
Sorry.
Ask me first.
Yeah, but you said for one. Like if you're gonna do a lot, just let me answer them one by one. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, human beings are not the same thing as animals. First and foremost, you gotta at least concede to that.
No, humans are animals. I don't know what you're not getting here, but if you look up what a human is an animal.
Homo sapiens are not the same thing as an animal that walks on four legs, steps in its poop, doesn't speak, can't ride a bike, can't drive a car, can't be a teacher, go to the moon. You're wrong. There's
animals that walk on two legs and all these things. What the word you're looking for is species, not animal. You're saying because humans are a certain species, then that's okay to kill everything else because of this species. So that's like saying, well, because I am this race, therefore I can kill all these other races because I am this race. You're just basing it off of like a random word that means nothing.
People of different races are still human beings. You know, racism.
So it's species. I'm just giving you an example of like you're just inserting the word species to kill people. I mean, sorry, to kill animals.
No, you were saying that humans are animals.
Okay. So let's say
if you look up the biological classification, humans are animals.
Yeah. So let's say Conscientious Omnivore. Let's say Conscientious Omnivore was a subspecies of a human, right? He looks exactly the same. He talks exactly the same, but he's a different species than us. He's a subspecies of Homo sapien. Should I kill him and eat him?
There are no subspecies of Homo sapiens. The closest thing we have are monkeys, and they can't talk.
Okay. Okay, so would you kill and eat a monkey?
Hell no, man. Monkeys, no.
Why not? Why not?
Monkeys are not food. Pigs, cows, and chickens are.
Species, though, a different species. You're just arbitrarily picking what to kill based off of the word species.
No, I am deciding.
Okay, well, okay, I gotta leave. So let me answer this for you, and then I'm out of here. So the answer really of why you wouldn't kill an animal or why you wouldn't kill a human is because it's suffering, right? That's the only real thing that matters, right? Are you going out of your way to cause needless harm and suffering? If you are, then why do that? That's what morals is all about, is harm.
You guys, one question before I leave. One question. Have you?
Well, you can keep talking. You can keep talking. I just gotta go. Like, you guys can continue the conversation.
Do a live stream. Didn't think so.
What was the question?
You guys, though, for real.
What did you say? You broke up. I couldn't hear you.
Have y'all ever seen a chicken do a live stream? Didn't think so.
Yeah. I think.
Okay, I've never seen a baby do a live stream. So should I eat babies?
Well, of course, twisted. I love you guys. Nice meeting you both.
Elisha, I'm happy to keep talking. I know Logan's got to go, but
I got some stuff I got to get done today. I unfortunately cannot continue with this right at the moment, but I would like to talk to you guys again if you want to schedule another time.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I would still like to close with just one thing real quick. We didn't get to something that I think is super important, which is that animal products inherently come with things that are incredibly unhealthy. They come with cholesterol and saturated fat. We can definitely talk about that next time. They do come with a lot of chemicals themselves, regardless of whether they are organic or not, just because of bioaccumulation. So there are definitely a lot of health considerations that we didn't get to, which I think can definitely impact your health and maybe even your specific condition and make it worse. Crohn's disease is a similar thing in the sense that it's a gastrointestinal problem, and there are very strong links between dairy consumption and Crohn's disease due to the viruses that dairy cows contain. So we can talk about a whole bunch of other stuff that we didn't get to. As far as the morals and the ethics go, I think what Logan is getting at is that there are very obvious differences between humans and other animals, but we are still animals. And the main point here is that we shouldn't be looking at the differences. We should be looking at the things that are similar. And the things that you started listing at first, Elisha, are the exact same things that many of those things can be found in many animals. So many animals are social. Many animals do have family structure. Many animals will mate for life. They will sing to their kids. They have language. They have tools. They can pass on knowledge from one generation to the next. So a lot of the things that you've said can all be applied to certain animals. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we should be looking for the things that make us similar, not the things that make us different. And that's what people have ultimately learned, hopefully, in today's day and age, that it doesn't matter that my friend down the street might be black or Asian or whatever. It's the thing that we are both humans and that we both experience reality and all this kind of stuff. But those things are also applicable to animals.
Well, I mean, essentially, like you said, that's the reason why we don't eat humans, is because humans experience things the way that we experience. So ultimately, yes, you are correct. You have made my point for me. Thank you, good sir. But one quick thing before I go. One quick thing. My friend, who is unfortunately a worse off sufferer of gastroparesis than myself, she is severely looking into incorporating eggs back in her diet to essentially save her life. So I hope that she has nothing but the best coming her way, and I hope that you guys have nothing but the best coming your way. I appreciate you. I respect you. I don't agree with you on everything, but I can say at least that I have had a very insightful discussion with you guys today.
Thanks for being on. It was good.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, cool.
All right, Mike, I just want to give a closing thing too. Like, yep. I'm going to leave right now, but like, if you absolutely need to incorporate some form of animal products, like, why not pick the most ethical type of animal products? I guess bivalves comes to mind. People have talked about bivalves before, but the thing is, like, really, you have to look at the properties of what the food is. So if it's fiber, that's a big deal, even with the low fiber. That's really what it comes down to. You can make plant foods calorically dense. That's very simple. And there's 300,000 edible plants on Earth. So to say that I tried veganism and it didn't work is kind of ridiculous, seeing as how there's so many options. There's no way that people tried everything. And to resort back to the same old 4 things because people haven't been indoctrinated to eat animal products is kind of absurd.
Well, you will choose to raise your family the way that you choose to raise them, and I will choose to raise my family the way that I choose to raise them when I have one someday. So, more power to you guys. Keep living the good life and politely spreading the word of veganism, because it's very, very rare that I'll see streams where people are just calling each other names and this and that. And I appreciate you guys, you know, not being vulgar or calling me names or putting me down. So.
Happy to have you on again. So, and check out some of my previous streams because you'll find that they're all like this, except for one. But that was not about veganism, and it wasn't my fault.
And people watching this, come check out my channel. I
definitely. I put the link in the description as well.
So, I appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of your day, and we will talk very soon.
Cool. Thanks everybody for being on.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
And thanks everybody who came to watch as well and chatted. Hope you guys had fun, and see you in the next one.